What is going on, everybody? It is Mike Charlip once again coming at you on my website, MikeJC on Wrestling.com. And today I am going to be discussing this coming pay-per-view weekend, NXT Takeover in your house. It's a pretty stacked card. It's the first NXT Takeover since the recent pandemic. It's also the first in your house pay-per-view since 1999. And if you're an old school wrestling fan, or if you've just watched old school wrestling since we've had, have the WWE Network, In Your House was the pay-per-view that was not part of the big 4 or 5 when WWE started doing monthly pay-per-views. And we had the big 4 or 5, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, and at the time, King of the Ring. And every other month was an In Your House pay-per-view. And In Your House was like a condensed pay-per-view as opposed to like those being 3 hours long. In Your House was 2 hours long, or 2.5. It was basically a pay-per-view with the length of Monday Night Raw. And that was, at the time, that was different because WWE didn't have pay-per-views every single month. And to have a pay-per-view every single month, it was harder for people to watch them. It was harder for people. So when it wasn't one of those big 4 or 5, it was cheaper to watch. It was, and I always thought the In Your House concept was pretty cool. In later years, like towards the end is when we started seeing like it was called like In Your House Backlash or In Your House St. Valentine's Day Massacre. So we would end up seeing those pay-per-views. Well, not St. Valentine's Day Massacre, we only had one of those, but Backlash and other pay-per-view names like Judgment Day, stuff like that would end up becoming annual pay-per-views without the In Your House brand connected to it. So let's discuss all the matches, and I'll give my opinion on who I think should win all the matches. And it's like I said before, it's a pretty stacked card, so let's get right into it. The first match that I'm going to discuss is a 6-woman tag team match. It's Tegan Nox teaming up with Mia Yim and Shotzi Blackheart to take on the team of Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez. This match was kind of put together. These two separate rivalries going on at the same time. Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox have been going at it for a while since they, were friends and then started feuding. Shotzi Blackheart got involved. Shotzi was kind of having matches with Dakota, and Raquel is Dakota's bodyguard / friend, blah, blah, blah. And so those 4 were kind of going back and forth. And just recently, with the recent heel turn of the Gargano couple, Johnny and Candice, they seem to have targeted Mia Yim and Keith Lee, who are also a couple. And so this match was kind of put together because a brawl happened between all 6 of these women. And I actually like the work of all of these ladies. They all have their own style. They all are very good workers. And all of them have potential to be champions in the future, especially Candice LeRae and Tegan Nox. Those are the 2 that I have the most hope for out of these. But like I said, all of them are very good, and I kind of want I want to see the team of Tegan Nox, Shotzi Blackheart, and Mia Yim get the win. A lot of people think that Candice shouldn't lose with this new character, so I don't think she should take the pin per se. I would probably have Dakota Kai take the pin, Because I just feel like Tegan Nox needs to go to the next level. I think she's ready. I think she's proven that she's healthy now and that she doesn't have to worry about injuries. It's time for Tegan Nox to move up. I think it'll also be telling, like, with the championship match, which we'll discuss later, whoever wins that match, I mean, could potentially face one of these ladies at the next title match. So I want Tegan to win, but I could definitely see Candice getting the win just to keep her momentum high, and especially if, like, Rhea wins the title, which like I said, I'll discuss later. If Rhea wins the title, then Candice is probably next in line. So this match is very up in the air for me, as you can tell, but I'm still gonna pick Tegan Nox's team. And like I said, I don't think Candice will be the one to take the pin because they don't want to hurt her right now with this new character and all that. And WWE is known to do those kinds of things. So moving on to the next match. The next match on the card that I'm going to discuss is Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. Now, this feud kind of came out of nowhere. Finn Balor was trying to get into a match with Walter that obviously had to be halted because of this pandemic and the travel issues of people, like Walter doesn't live in America, so he doesn't have, as of right now, a lot of the English talents, and he's from Austria, I believe, are unable to travel here, and that feud needed to be halted for the time being. So they did this storyline where Finn Balor was supposed to have a match with Velveteen Dream. And that didn't happen because they ran a storyline where Finn Balor was attacked. And they didn't take very long to find out who it was. Finn Balor came back the following week, said he was going to find out who it was, got into a thing with Cameron Grimes. Then the following week had a match with Cameron Grimes, and then Damian Priest showed up and attacked Finn Balor, and said he was the man who attacked him. So Finn Balor's trying to get revenge here for being targeted. Damian Priest wants to make a name for himself off of probably one of the biggest names in NXT to this point. Unfortunately, Damian Priest is probably going to fail. That seems like the thing with him recently. He targets anybody who, like, he deems as worthy of him to, like, take the spotlight from, and then he loses. But Damian Priest is actually a very good wrestler, and I want to see him do more, and I just don't know why. This was not the right feud for him, I don't think. I mean, for a while, he was going back and forth with Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic for a long time, and coming out on the losing end of all of those for the most part. I feel like they need to do more with him. He needs to get some big wins. He needs to get some feuds, like a feud against somebody that, they're not really pushing at the moment, because Finn Balor is like one of the faces of NXT right now, and all this is just Finn Balor getting revenge, and that's fine, and I love Finn Balor. Finn Balor is one of my favorite wrestlers, but as for Damian Priest, I just didn't feel like this was the right feud for him. So I think Finn Balor will get the win pretty cleanly, pretty easily, and move on to something else, and hopefully Damian Priest can bounce back from this. So moving on to the next match on the card, and we're getting into we actually have one more match before the title matches. I completely forgot, and this is the match that I am most excited about. It's Tomaso Ciampa taking on Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross. People might remember him as Killer Kross. He worked in Impact Wrestling for the most part, but did a lot of indie work, and he's a very big guy who's very good at like the technical aspect of he does a lot of suplexes, he does a lot of Saito suplexes and stuff like that, and submissions, and you don't really see that a lot from a guy his size. And I think he has all the potential in the world, and you could see that by the way they portray him and the way they put so much into his entrance, even currently. Like, usually, especially, we haven't seen a lot of entrances be very, over the top since we haven't had crowds, but they are definitely going with him on this one, and I love everything about him. And everybody knows Tomaso Champa. Tomaso Champa is the NXT homer. He loves NXT. And I think he's gotten to the point where he doesn't want to go anywhere else, and he's fine with having good matches with guys and probably putting them over for the most part, because Tomaso Ciampa cannot win this match. If you want to establish Karrion Kross as a heavy hitter right out the gate, he needs to win this, and he needs to win this convincingly. I don't think it's going to be a short match. I definitely think it will be at least 10 to 12 minutes long, but I think it's going to be fast-paced right out the gate, and Karrion Kross is just going to overwhelm Tomaso Ciampa. And like I said, I am completely okay with that, because Tomaso Ciampa has gotten to the point where he doesn't need to win all the time, especially if he's not going anywhere and staying in NXT. He can be that guy to be like, oh, if you want to get to the top of the mountain, you have to go through me, even if I'm not the champion. And that's really what his role is now. That's really what he's doing, and that's especially what he's doing here. And Karrion Kross targeted him from the beginning. His first appearance on screen was attacking Tomaso Ciampa. So you can't make a better impact than attacking the main face of NXT. And I can't wait to watch this match. I cannot wait. But Karrion Kross will definitely win, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a good one. And I hope it's good. I obviously, I don't think these guys have ever worked together. I think this is gonna be the first time they've ever wrestled. Don't quote me on that. I don't know that for sure. I don't know if they worked earlier on when Tomaso Ciampa wasn't signed. But it's definitely going to be, if they have worked before, this is definitely the biggest stage they're going to work on, and I am just super excited about it. So, moving on from that, like I said, Karrion Kross definitely going to win. Very excited about his future in the company. Very excited about his potential in the company, and they definitely see a lot in him. So moving on from that, the first title match I'm going to discuss is for the NXT North American Championship. It's Keith Lee defending against Johnny Gargano, and I have been looking forward to this one ever since Johnny Gargano and his wife Candice targeted Keith and Mia Yim. I think that Johnny Gargano, no matter what role he's in, can work with anybody and make it a good match. I will admit, and a lot of people are saying this, Johnny Gargano is definitely a better face. He was one of the best underdogs in NXT, the come-from-behind underdog. And a lot of people don't like the role he's in now, but I actually don't mind it. I think it's a different direction for him, and especially, again, if he's going to be one of those guys that's going to stay in NXT forever, we don't know, obviously nobody knows for sure, but if he is going to be one of those guys who stays in NXT forever, he needs to change it up once in a while. And I'm okay with this. Down the line, I'm sure he'll go back to being a face and they'll do more stuff with him, and maybe down the line even he'll get another title shot down the, he might even get a title shot as a heel right now. I mean, but right now, down the line. But this match, I think that these guys can definitely complement each other. Keith Lee being the big athletic guy and Johnny Gargano being the chicken shit heel, and working off of that and doing what Johnny Gargano does. The one thing, and I've been saying this a lot, the one thing that I hope, and Johnny Gargano of all people should definitely be the one who could do this. I do not like when people go into a heel character, especially like this, or like Seth Rollins right now with the Monday Night Messiah, where they're doing the exact same offense. I don't want to see this Johnny Gargano doing tope suicidas. I don't want to see this Johnny Gargano doing what he would do if he was still a face. I want to see him change it up. I want to see him actually wrestle like a heel. And that is the one thing that one of the many things that I wish would change in WWE, and that includes in NXT. Wrestle like the character you're playing. Wrestle the match that your character would have. Don't wrestle like you would wrestle all the time. And that's definitely something, Johnny Gargano being the purist that he is, I would hope that, like, Johnny Gargano, and again, this is a comparison that a lot of people have made. Johnny Gargano is a lot like Daniel Bryan, where he really cares about wrestling and really cares about it making sense. And even like Kevin Owens, we've seen Kevin Owens recently. Kevin Owens cares about the business, and he cares that his character is doing all the right thing, like making sense of things. And that's what Johnny Gargano does. That's what Daniel Bryan does. Makes sense of things. And they should wrestle the character they're playing. When Daniel Bryan went heel and did the Planet's Champion thing, you didn't see him do yes kicks. You didn't see him, I mean, he did them, but he didn't do them the same way. He was acting differently in the ring as well as acting differently character-wise. And Johnny Gargano needs to do that too. I don't want to see him do multiple suicide dives. I don't want to see him do what he would do if he was a face still. And I really hope that happens in this match. And I really hope that they play off of that. And obviously, like I said, these two are These two are really good. Both of them are really good. Keith Lee is so good. He's like the most agile big guy I've ever seen, for sure. And I think it's going to be a hell of a match. And I think Gargano's going to win. I truly do. And I think that maybe Keith Lee is going to go to the world title. And I'm completely okay with Johnny Gargano holding the North American title for a decent amount of time, and also helping newer talent. Like, I'd like to see him face off against, like, Cameron Grimes. I'd like to see him face Bronson Reed. I want to see Johnny Gargano face everyone. And if you put the title on him, he can definitely do that. So I'm actually going to pick Johnny Gargano here, and I hope that this match has the potential to steal the show, and I think it definitely could. So moving on from that, the next match I'm going to discuss, and the match that could very well be the main event of the entire show, but I'm going to discuss it here, is the triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship. Now, this match has the potential to steal the entire show. You got Charlotte, the champion, who I was not fond of winning the title around WrestleMania time. I thought it would hurt Rhea Ripley, and it definitely did. Rhea Ripley has been hurting ever since this feud with Charlotte started. She won the title, she was on a hell of a roll, she was killing it, and then all of a sudden they had her challenge Charlotte after Charlotte won the Rumble before Rhea had a championship match at the Takeover that, coming up. That didn't make sense. Then Charlotte was being Charlotte, and they had the match, and the match was good, the match was fine, but Charlotte made Rhea tap out, and that made Rhea look really bad. If anything, if Charlotte needed to win, if that was the direction they were going, if Charlotte needed to win, it needed to be a sneaky roll-up finish. That's what it needed to be, because at least that is salvageable. And we didn't see Rhea for a while after Mania. She took a break. She was gone for a month and a half. She came back after Charlotte had during this title match with Io Shirai, which Io Shirai earned in a ladder match. And that was a good match too. And then Rhea Ripley shows up again, and we have this set up this triple threat. And for me, I wanted Rhea Ripley to win the title, to keep the title and have a singles feud with Io Shirai down like a few months ago. I don't know if that's going to happen now, but I definitely think that Charlotte needs to drop this title and go back to Raw, because even though Charlotte is here elevating the other talent for just by her being on the show, it's also hurting the other talent, because the other talent are being made to look like they can't go with Charlotte. Rhea and Io were the only people that they made look good in the ring with Charlotte. So I want to see Rhea get the win back, and then I want to see her and Io go into a real singles feud. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if there's plans for Io to move on from this, maybe go to the main roster. I have no idea. And I also, especially now, kind of hate calling it the main roster. Because I don't think that it should be considered a call-up anymore. I think it should just be considered moving to another brand. But regardless of all that, I don't know. Obviously, I never know what the plans are. This is just me spitballing. This is just me talking my thoughts on all of this stuff. But Rhea should definitely win the belt back by beating Charlotte, not by beating Io, and then setting up a singles feud with Io. And if Io is going to the main roster or going to Raw or SmackDown, then she can do that after having a true singles feud with Rhea, which needs to happen. And like I said earlier, I was talking about the 6-woman tag. I don't know what the plan is there, and I don't know if maybe they want one of those ladies to go for the title next. But I definitely don't want Charlotte to be the one to be defending against them. Sure, Tegan would have a great match with Charlotte. Candice would have a great match with Charlotte. I just don't want Charlotte to be on every single show anymore. And with whatever they're doing with this talent share thing recently, with Charlotte being on every single show, I just don't need all of that Charlotte I just don't need that much Charlotte in 1 week. And with Becky going to be gone for the foreseeable future, I don't think the answer is putting Charlotte on every single show. The answer would be to, and I don't expect this to happen because Vince McMahon doesn't seem to care, the answer would be to build other stars. Build people from each brand that can go, and stop putting Charlotte on every single show and beating everybody. So that's why I hope that Rhea gets the title back, Charlotte moves on. I don't need Charlotte to be in NXT long term. Like I said, sure, I would love to see her have matches with Candice. I'd love to see her have matches with Tegan. I'd love to see her have matches with Dakota. I just don't see that happening. So that's why I'm picking Rhea Ripley, and as I said numerous times already, have her have a real singles feud with Io, then Io can move on from there. And then she can have a singles feud with Candice, or even a singles feud with Tegan. So yeah, I really hope that Rhea wins it back. So moving on to the other possible main event, and this has been a very odd storyline. It's Adam Cole defending the NXT Championship against the Velveteen Dream once again, but this time it is a backlot brawl. And if Velveteen Dream loses, he cannot get another championship opportunity as long as Adam Cole is champion. And I don't think that Velveteen Dream is going to win. There's been this really weird dynamic with Dexter Lumis recently, where Dexter Lumis is kind of showing up everywhere that Velveteen Dream is, and he is helping him against the Undisputed Era, but there seems to be like some other motive maybe that we don't know, because Dexter Lumis hasn't spoke since he appeared. And I just don't think it's time for Adam Cole to lose the belt, and I just don't think that Velveteen Dream is the one to do it either. I think Velveteen Dream is a great worker. I think he's got great potential that he hasn't even shown yet, and he's also very young. He's got a lot of time left, so I don't know if he needs to win the NXT title. I think down the line he will be a very good performer, and he'll be a great asset on Raw or SmackDown. And that's not to say that that's going to happen anytime soon, but I just don't see him being the one to stop Adam Cole. Adam Cole has been on fire as long as he's had the belt, and he just doesn't need to lose it at this time. And like I said earlier, if Keith Lee is moving on, Keith Lee versus Adam Cole in a long-term feud would be great. And I could even see Keith Lee being the one to take the belt off of Adam Cole, but not Velveteen Dream. And again, that's nothing against Velveteen Dream. I think Velveteen Dream is very good, but this whole thing with Dexter Lumis seems to be... I don't think people are putting enough into that. I think that that's going to play a factor. It seems like Dexter Lumis has some kind of obsession with Velveteen Dream, to the point where I think he might cost him the title or cost him the match. And I don't know that for sure, obviously. Again, all of this is just me spitballing. This is me giving my ideas. And again, WWE probably doesn't see what I say ever. But I just think that seems to be the road they're going down. I don't think it's time for Adam Cole to lose the belt, and I don't think Velveteen Dream is the right person to do it. And this whole thing with Dexter Lumis just seems really weird to me, that I don't see it going Velveteen Dream's way just for that reason alone. Again, it could be a very good match. Supposedly this was recorded already. It's going to be like one of those cinematic matches that they've been having recently, like the Boneyard match, like the Gargano Champa final match. It's going to be something like that. And I'm intrigued. Again, because we've never seen Adam Cole in this kind of environment. That'll be different for him. We've seen him in like War Games matches. He's been in every War Games match to this point in WWE. So I don't know. It's very up in the air for me how this match is going to go, but I don't think it will result in Velveteen Dream winning the belt. So that's going to do it for me, guys. That's my thoughts on all of these matches. Like I said, the show is going to be very good, I think. All of these matches have potential to be very good. The show has the potential to be one of the best ones this year, especially in this current era that we're in with no crowds. And I am starting to actually miss crowds. I'm starting to miss the atmosphere of real crowds recently with the talent in the crowds. The things that we've been hearing about the talents being in the crowd and them recording like 7 hours worth of content in one sitting, and those talent in the crowd not being allowed to sit down the entire time and losing the energy, and it just doesn't feel the same as having an actual crowd. And hopefully something will change soon with what's going on with this pandemic, and we can actually get crowds back in wrestling shows because they need them desperately. Certain characters need crowds to play off of. Certain characters do better when there's a crowd. And I think Velveteen Dream is definitely one of those people. If he had a crowd, it might be a little different. But right now, it just isn't working. So I hope that changes. I hope things change for the better for everyone, not just in the wrestling world. And I hope that everything goes back to the way it was, and everybody can just be kind to each other. Be kind to everybody. Be kind to everyone, no matter what they look like, what they sound like, what their orientation is. Just be kind. And that's going to do it for me, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a supporter if you have been for as long as I've been doing this. Look out for more writings, look out for more audio like this, and look out for more projects down the line that I hope to announce in the future. I'm working on some things that I might be able to announce soon. So thanks again. You can follow me on Twitter at MikeJC821. And thanks again, guys. That's it.